This is Golden Years, a roadmap to navigate retirement with Mark Cordner, the podcast.
You know, there are more people turning 65 this year than any time in history, guys. That is a big, big deal. And if you're thinking about retirement at that age, you might wonder how much you'll get for Social Security. Well, according to the government, the average is about $1,500 a month, which is $18,000 a year. It's not a huge amount, just enough to kind of get you by. But if you wait until the age 70, it'll go up to almost $2,000 a month. So the more money you get from Social Security, obviously the less that you'll probably need to take from your personal savings. But the bottom line is here, Mark, how do you calculate that number, when and how we should claim Social Security for each and every individual?
With the help of some really sophisticated software, would be my response. There's mathematical considerations and there's practical considerations. But the mathematical considerations simply are too involved to really have a good picture unless you run it through some sophisticated software. There's some great programs out there. We do a free analysis for people on this issue. So if people ever want to get a hold of us, we'll help them with this whole issue of when should I claim Social Security? But I can tell you from doing this hundreds of times that what the computer will tell us to do and what people choose to do are often two different things. Now, the majority of Americans claim Social Security at age 62. That's the earliest possible date. And they do so without having done these kind of software analyses that I'm offering to the public. Mm-hmm. I suggest that people do it because you really need to see there's a massive difference in how much you can receive from Social Security the longer we delay. If we delay until the oldest possible age of 70, then we're typically going to get 32% more. But the important thing to recognize is that Social Security income is not all taxable. And therefore, the more of our income that's comprised of Social Security payments, the more of it that is tax-free. And so we got to look at considerations like that. But you brought up a great point. You made the comment that the longer we wait to claim, the more we have to live off of our own money. And that's a very real thing. Since Social Security cannot pass on to our heirs, generally speaking, there are, widow and orphan benefits with it. But generally speaking, when people take Social Security retirement benefits, it's only going to pass sure benefits to the spouse, but it's not going to assure benefits to the adult children. And so if you have spent your own money with a goal of delaying Social Security, that money's gone and can no longer be passed to your children and grandchildren. And so obviously there's some guessing in here as to longevity, life expectancy. So we will do the math for you. We'll do the math and give you an informed perspective. And again, we invite people to contact us. We'll help them with that. And then they can make the decision. Should I spend my own money or should I spend Social Security's? Generally speaking, the longer we wait, the better off it is from an income standpoint, but there are practical considerations that will sway that, such as estate planning. How much do we want to leave to the kids and grandkids? So take the guesswork out of it. Come visit with us. It's a complimentary consultation.
If you are looking to pass on your stuff to younger generations, maybe things that you value more than life itself, listen to millennial influencer Emmeline Childs. She may have a point here. Listen to this.
Now that the boomers are starting to age, I feel like there's one conversation that we need to have. And that conversation is, what are we going to do with all of the grandfather clocks? Like, we're all on the same page. We don't want those, right? Like, I have a phone. I know what time it is. I don't need bells tolling to tell me that it's 9:15. But I'm guessing about 70% of millennials, Gen Xers have our names on a piece of masking tape on the back of a grandfather clock somewhere. But do we want them? Like, I like it at your house. I don't want it at my house. But there's just eventually going to be a massive surplus of grandfather clocks. But I think we should start planning now.
I love that she's like, no, I love it at your house. I just don't want it in my house, And listen, maybe this all goes with the fact that, like we just talked about, more people are turning 65 this year than any time in history. Folks are hitting these threshold ages, now this is a big deal. So things are going to start passing on to younger generations. As she's talking about, we're going to have a surplus of grandfather clocks. And it got me thinking about estate planning here because, yes, I've been part of that where I've gone around my grandparents' house and my name and my cousin's names are all over different fixtures of the home. And sometimes you go, I don't know why she wanted me to have this. And I feel bad if I don't take it, but I don't want it. You know what I mean, Mark? I mean, this all comes down to proper estate planning as well, right?
Well, my wife and I literally had this conversation this week. She was pointing at some ceramic dolls that she had received for years as gifts from parents and saying, I don't think any other generation is going to understand the emotional connection that I had to this when I was a child. She said that even then, it may not have been something that I wanted, but it was something my parents wanted me to have. But it has no value to other people. And, I know this. My father, after my mother died, he remarried and he bought a home up in Utah. And so mostly filled with stuff of hers. But then he decided to sell his home in Vegas and take a lot of his stuff from Vegas was given away. But a lot of it was, we got the largest size U-Haul that exists. And I drove it up there for him. And a whole bunch of us unloaded it into the basement of that place. And I just thought, holy cow, when that day comes that he, graduates and gets his angel wings, I'm going to be the one clearing out that basement because my twin brother and sister are back in Atlanta. Others are in Vegas. And now the 1,000 books that he has, I want those. I'm the only one that wants those. But the other stuff, there's a great book that was written called Downsizing the Family Home. I recommend people get that, Downsizing the Family Home. And it talks about one of the greatest gifts we can give our children is exactly what this millennial influencer was talking about, and that is not leaving them a bunch of stuff. I would suggest there are people who want the grandfather clock. There are certainly people who want the clothes and some of these old things. We can give things away and repurpose them, give them a second life, as it were, and that can help many others. That gives my wife and me tremendous satisfaction. I make dropping stuff at Goodwill almost every week, it feels like. As a matter of fact, in that book, it gives a great idea. It says, if you have an emotional connection to an item, studies show that if you take a photograph of that physical item, the photograph itself will evoke the emotions that holding it once did, and then you can give it away. So give it a new life is what I would say, and it's not just with your stuff, it's with your money, and so we need to get attorneys involved, we need to get financial people involved, same thing with the money. If we want the money to go where it needs to go and to be used in the way that we want it to be used, then that takes family meetings, that takes advanced planning, and we love helping clients do that. Intergenerational planning is a lot of fun for us. So if you've never had a discussion on this, come visit with us. We'll share some ideas with you about some fun things people have done to make sure that their non-financial values, their moral values, for example, continue to pass on, and we use money to fuel those opportunities like perpetual family reunions. So there's a lot that can and should be done. I agree with that speaker.
Investment advisory services offered through Golden Years Financial LLC, a registered investment advisory firm. Insurance is offered through Golden Years Insurance Services. These firms do not provide legal or tax advice. Consult your own legal and tax advisors before taking actions that may have tax implications. Investing in securities involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Insurance contracts' principal protection is based on the claim-paying ability of the respective insurer. None of the information contained on this website shall constitute an offer to sell or solicit to buy a security or insurance product. The information and opinions contained on this site or requested from this site are provided by third parties believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. They are provided for informational purposes only and are not a solicitation to buy or sell any of the products mentioned. Any media logos and or trademarks contained herein are the property of their respective owners, and no endorsement by those owners of Mark Cordner, Golden Years Financial, or Golden Years Insurance is stated or implied.